Welcome to the One Community Podcast. I'm Matt Scarborough. Every week we identify local leaders, we ask them what makes them tick, and we find out all about their athletic abilities. Well, good afternoon. I'm Matt Scarborough from Scarborough Bicycle Accident Law, and I'm pleased to have one of our sponsored athletes, Brett Saunders, on with us today. I've known Brett for over a year now. We're really proud to have him as part of our team. Thank you for being here, Brett.
Thank you, Matt. I love that. This is my first podcast, so I'm really excited.
Okay, well, It's fun. It's like a conversation. It's kind of like the two of us having a cup of coffee. But I think it's important for everybody that will listen to this. Let's talk about your origin story. How did you get involved in athletics as a kid before? Well, I still think you're a kid. But anyway, how did you get involved as athletics as a kid before you became this pro triathlete, which you are? We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, so all started with my parents. So my mom, she grew up with 5 other siblings, and so they were all super athletic. So she wanted to go above and beyond. So she set 9 world records in open water swimming, and then she became a professional triathlete. And then she met my dad because he was on the Olympic cycling team. And
Wow.
So I grew up doing a lot of different sports, obviously. Not just because of them, but just because I love doing sports. I grew up doing tennis and swimming and doing all the bike races. And I just love all of the sports, really.
Did you do team sports as a kid or mainly individual sports?
No, I would say mainly individual sports. I wanted to play baseball, but it just overlaps with tennis.
Okay.
So tennis is kind of like a team sport. You got doubles, and then I guess it's individual in a way, but team as a whole.
So what brought you into the swimming, biking world? I have a little bit of your background as well, because I did tennis as a kid. I played tennis in high school. I played a little bit of college tennis, taught tennis during the summers when I was in college. And then it seemed like I got burnt out on that. And then cycling came into my life in college. At the time, I was kind of moving away from tennis. What was kind of your experience?
Yeah, so I just did all of them up until high school, when I knew I had to choose what I wanted to do in college, whether it was tennis or swimming. Triathlons wasn't an NCAA sport, and so I wanted to do NCAA sport. And so I decided on swimming, and so it was a really hard choice. I know that once I'm done with triathlons, I'm gonna get back into tennis because It's still my favorite sport, despite me doing triathlons for a living.
That's cool. What is your mom's name for those people that might know pro triathletes back in that day?
So Jocelyn Muir is her maiden name. Now it's Jocelyn Saunders, and then my dad's name is Blair Saunders.
Okay, and your dad was a pro cyclist, you said?
Yeah, so he won the road race for Canada in the Olympic trials in 1992.
Wow.
And then he was also did the team pursuit. And he did the velodrome, which is like an indoor track.
Sure.
I don't think there's any in Florida.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, but he loved doing all those, every race. He still does all the races.
So swimming was kind of your first foray into the swim, bike, run world?
Yeah, that's definitely my strong suit. And then biking, I would say, and then running, I'm working on it. Yeah.
Is running your least favorite?
It's not my least favorite, actually. I would say swimming is, because I've swam so much my whole life.
Sure.
That I just try to get it done. But I really do enjoy biking and running. When I'm swimming with other people, I enjoy it. But yeah.
So you swam at the University of Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What years was that?
That was 2016 to 2020. So I really I grew up in Delaware, so I swam indoors in the winter, and I actually got asthma from that, exercise-induced asthma.
Wow.
And so I really wanted to swim outside. It's just so much nicer. And so I took a visit to University of Tampa, and I loved it.
Okay.
There's it's just beautiful all year round. And the scene is like awesome. Like UT has a wonderful pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like so much fun. Like I love the coaches and the all my teammates. Yeah, it was so much fun.
That's cool. What was your major at University of Tampa?
So I majored in finance, and then I graduated a bit early, so I decided to do my master's as well. So I graduated master's in finance in 4.5 years.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Good for you. So what brought you from swimming as a college student, being on the swim team, all of that work, into, hey, I want to try to transfer this into being a professional triathlete?
So it was always on my bucket list to do Ironman with my family. And so my dad asked me if I wanted to do it my senior year. And so I said, yeah. And then I decided to train for triathlons once COVID shut down the swimming. I was supposed to do Olympic trials, but that got canceled. So then I was focused on swimming, biking, running now for 6 months. And then I did Ironman Florida, and I beat all the pros by 2 minutes, I think, 3 minutes on the swim.
Okay.
And so then the Canadian national team reached out to me to do triathlons for them, because I have dual citizenship since my family's Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that because I got recruited from.
So your first Ironman, like, roughly, what was your time?
It was 10:32. The swim was 50 minutes flat.
Okay.
Yeah, I still wanted. I had the goal in mind. If it was ideal course to break the record in the swim. My mom had the world record for a week for the fastest swim in Ironman. So I always wanted to do that. And so right now I'm focusing on like the short course, but if I ever get into the long course, I definitely want to look into doing that.
Do you remember what your bike split was in that Ironman?
No, I don't. I think I averaged 23 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing that much. Like, my mom just told me what to do. I just used all my dad's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was my first triathlon in 7 years. And so I really didn't have any expectations. My dad passed me at the very end of the bike.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember I was like, I tried to get on his wheel just to talk to him, just to, like, I don't know, smack talk. And then the official came up and gave me a warning, like, for a drafting penalty. So that's my dad. I'll back off.
Okay, so your dad ended up passing you. Did he beat you?
No, I passed him on the run.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, like the first mile of the run. He's not a good runner.
Okay. Good for you. I was wondering if he would have beat you. He would have talked to you about that for a long time.
Yeah, we're still competitive on biking, but I definitely have him on the swim and run.
So tell us about your current training. Well, actually, before we get into that, let me ask you. So you've been a pro triathlete for how long?
Well, I've started racing 1.5 years ago as a pro. Yeah, but I've been training since 2021.
And then kind of talk to us about what kind of pro racing are you doing? What's the distances, where are you doing the races?
So I'm doing draft legal. So instead of, most people think of non-draft legal bikes, so like the aero position, whereas I'm on a road bike, so that way you can draft off people on the bike, and it makes it a lot more competitive and fun for me. I just like being with people and racing. I'm super competitive, so that really helps me. So there's a sprint distance, which is a mile swim, 20K bike, 5K run,
right? And
then the Olympic distance, which is double that. And so actually the sprint distance is half a mile swim, and then the Olympic distance is a mile swim.
So like if I were to watch the Olympic triathlon, are they drafting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Do you have any aspirations, or can you do Olympic stuff in the future?
Yeah. So my goal is the 2028 Olympics. I have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Mostly in running. I think my swim and bike are nearly there, if not there.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to put in the miles for running, then start getting a bit better.
Okay. What a goal. That's very, very cool. Where have you traveled to as a triathlete?
So my first race was in Colombia. So that was super chaotic. I got food poisoning right after the race.
Okay.
So it was pretty good that I didn't have it before the race. But yeah, it was super fun there. And then we went to Vina Del Mar in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
It took 24 hours to get there. So that was a learning experience.
Sure.
Had to deal with travel.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of racing in Canada. And then this year I'm going to Ecuador, which is new. So I'm excited for that.
Okay. So tell us, now this is tongue in cheek, but tell us kind of about the rock and roll lifestyle. It's like 4 seasons, 5-star hotels, eating all the best meals, right?
Not at all.
Tell us
Not
about,
at all.
like, where are you staying? And how are you living while you're being a pro triathlete?
Yeah, so when it's like in the States, I look on Snap Maps and I see if any of my friends are there, and then I message them and see if I can stay with them. And it worked a lot last year. I was really thankful for all the friends that I stayed with and family. But yeah, if I don't have any friends or family, then I look at the Airbnb, the cheapest price within like a biking distance of the race, so that way I don't need a rental car. Okay. And so yeah, I just go based off Airbnb price. So it's not very extravagant.
Right. And do you, just out of curiosity, because there's so many diet wars now in between people that are like, I'm carnivore, I'm paleo, I'm vegan. Do you follow any specific diet or no?
No, just general guidelines. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of it is like making sure I have protein before I eat carbs so that it doesn't spike my insulin levels. And yeah, I try to limit my red meat, so I just have it like once a week or once every other week. And I try to limit my dairy just because I'm a little dairy sensitive.
Sure.
So it's just I listen to how my body reacts, and so then I just go based off that. A lot of it for endurance athletes is making sure you have enough carbs. So yeah, I'm definitely not keto.
Yeah. What's your typical training week like during the season?
So usually it's 2 days of high intensity work. So it could start off with like a track workout, running on Monday, and then also doing a long bike or a swim. And then Tuesday is like a higher intensity bike or a higher intensity swim, and then an endurance bike, something like that. And then the third day is endurance. And then I have an easy recovery day. So that could just be a short swim, a short run. And then I have 2 more hard days, and then I have a day off. And I'm very thankful that I have a day off because I know a lot of pro triathletes, they just go straight 7 days a week.
No days off.
Yeah, I tried that for about a year, and I really think having a day off, like I don't get burnt out at all, and I could just keep going all year because I have that one day. And I really think it helps me recover better.
Sure, that makes sense to me. I don't know how in the world anybody could do 7 days a week.
My parents still do 7 days a week.
Do they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Can people see you at any local races, or are you going to be traveling out of the country?
Yeah, I'm doing the St. Pete, the Wendy Johnson 5K next month.
Okay.
Just to see where I can go in a 5K compared to last year.
Right.
And then the next day I'm doing the Frogman Swim.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, I'm raising money for the Navy SEAL Foundation, swimming from St. Pete to Tampa.
What's the date of that event?
I think it's January 13th.
Okay, if anybody here hasn't been to that event, it's amazing. That's a great event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been, but I'm really excited to be a part of it.
I think you'll enjoy that a lot. Yeah. What other events locally might you be doing?
I don't know any local events other than those 2 for now. Mm-hmm. I try not to plan too far in advance, but sure. if I'm not training or racing, I try to go to local events. So I might be there to help cheer on athletes.
Sure. And then I know you were at the Crit, which was in downtown St. Pete about a month ago. Might you do that again if it pops up?
Yeah, I think so. Like I didn't have any races planned, so I'm trying to build my run, but at the same time I can still do small bike races in town.
Sure.
So yeah, I like doing bike racing. It's really fun.
Yeah, the Crit is an incredible event. I think they did a good job with that in downtown St. Pete. I think it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And what level were you racing that at?
It was Cat 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So this is my first year getting back into crits. I did it when I was like 13, but I don't have any points, so I'm just doing what I can.
Okay. So, man, you have ridden your bike throughout the world, it seems like. Many different places in the world. What's your favorite place to ride and why?
Oh, good question. I would just say like 1-2 hour ride. I would say in Chile was super cool. I was riding along the coast and there was like no cars, no people, and it felt like I had the whole place to myself. And so that's what I love most about riding is you could find a place where there's no cars, no people, and it's just so peaceful.
That's great. If you had one person to ride with, who would that be?
I love riding with my dad. He keeps me going as long as he doesn't go too hard on like an easy day, which he tends to do.
Right.
But yeah, I would also ride with my coach. He's fun to talk to.
Okay. Who is your coach?
Greg Mueller.
And tell me about Greg. I'm not familiar.
So he lives in Indiana, but he coaches me on Training Peaks virtually.
Sure.
And he coaches other athletes like Colleen Squigley. She's an Olympic track star, and Grace Norman. She's a Paralympic champion.
Okay. And are you a music person when you ride or no music?
I try not to be dependent on listening to stuff. If I'm like really tired or like I'll listen to a podcast because it'll make me like you suffer less.
Yes.
Or if like I'm doing like a really high intensity workout and I'm not hitting the intervals, I need to listen to some EDM and it gets me going.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite triathlon course?
I think I've yet to find it because a lot of draft legal events are flat, but I think I would do better on hilly. Even though I live in Tampa, so where it's really flat, I tend to do better on hills. So, I think the one in Chile was actually really fun. It had a steep hill in it and then like a sharp descent. But then the run was still flat, which was nice. It was just the water was really cold.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. I've seen on social media that recently you've been a part of a Salty Bears triathlon group. Tell us about that. Yeah,
so I raced in New York City in October, and I met Tim O'Donnell. He's the ITU world champion a few years ago, and he's married to Miranda Carfresh. She was a 4-time Ironman world champion. And so they mentioned they were starting up this new coaching triathlon team, Salty Bears. And so I got connected with him, and I started working with them. So we use TriDot as the platform, and so that uses AI to generate the most perfect workout for you. And then we also we have our own team that uses that. So that's Team Salty Bears. So we have our own group chat and team meetings, and we're getting team apparel and stuff like that. So that's really exciting.
That is exciting. And are you a triathlon coach?
Yeah. So I'm USAT certified. So that's the thing. Like it's me, Rennie, Tim, and a couple other triathletes. And so we're all pros, but we also coach athletes. So it's just age group athletes whether they're looking to do Kona or just looking to improve on their swim, bike, or run. So we coach all levels, really.
How would people find you if they're interested in learning more about your coaching?
So you could just follow me on Instagram at bsaunders2 or on Facebook. Or on Strava. However, I have all the platforms, and you can just message me.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. I know that your mom was involved in a bike accident, right?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was Mother's Day in 2001.
I'm sorry.
So I was only 4 years old. I remember I was begging her for her not to go, just because it was Mother's Day. I wanted to hang out with her, but she left because she loves working out every day.
Right.
She biked by herself. She I think she was still a pro at the time or recently retired. And she was making, I think there's this old couple, they were driving and they didn't use their turn signal, and then they hit her going full speed and her bike went to the telephone wire and she went flying. They thought she was a bird.
Goodness.
She had brain damage and she got back surgery, stomach surgery, knee surgery. It took her, she had to learn how to walk, and then once she learned how to walk again, she learned how to run again. And eventually, 6 years later, she was able to do an Ironman after all that work. And so they were asking for her to be featured on the Ironman on NBC, but she declined it because she didn't know if she would finish. So, but she was able to finish, and yeah, I'm really proud that she was able to come back and do that.
Yeah, I am so proud that she was able to do that. And when you and I initially met, that story really intrigued me, because of course that's what we do every day here, is help out cyclists, not only in Florida but throughout the country. So I'm glad that she's been able to get a good recovery. She sadly, I think she had a lawyer, but that couple, they didn't have enough money to pay for all the expenses. But I remember you were mentioning something that cyclists can get to protect you from that. Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. Everybody listening, if they don't have it already, they should get the maximum amount of what's called uninsured motorist coverage. Because, for example, in Florida, you do not have to have a liability policy if you're driving a car. So if you're a cyclist and are hit and the person doesn't have any coverage at all, or doesn't have enough coverage for all the injuries, your own coverage through your own automobile insurance policy will cover you. So it's called or uninsured motorist coverage. Please have it, and we can help you out.
Yeah, and I don't think many people know about that, but
they don't.
Yeah,
and it should be preached, and I try to talk about it, every single time. What are your goals, Brett, for the coming year, 2024?
So right now I'm doing the America's Cup ITU triathlon series.
What's that mean?
So there's ITU's International Triathlon Union. So World Triathlon puts on the races. And there's different tiers. So there's the America's Cup races, and then there's the World Triathlon races, and then there's the World Triathlon Cup Series races. So I want to make it to the World Cup Series. So to do that, I really need to improve on my run, and hopefully get that 5K under 16 minutes.
Okay.
So that's the main goal, is working on that run.
Are the races you're doing, is it a 5K or a 10K?
It's both. Yeah. So it depends on the race. So my first triathlon is in Cuba in February. So that's Olympic distance. So that will be a mile swim, 40K bike, 10K run.
And what's your goal for the 10K?
I haven't got that far yet, because right now I'm focusing on the 5K.
Right.
But yeah, definitely better than last year. I'll have to check what I went last year. But yeah. So
this podcast, we try to, at least I do, I try to end every interview or whatever podcast with a question about leadership. And just from talking with you over the last year, I think you know the value of hard work. What other leadership qualities do you think you bring to the table, and what you do every day? Yeah, I think I'm more about practicing what you preach. So I try to do the work and lead by example, rather than just telling people you should do this, you should do this. Whereas I'm actually doing it. So yeah, our team captains in University of Tampa, my girlfriend was a team captain and my best friend was the team captain. They led by example by working hard every single day, and others will follow. So if people can look at me and know that I'm training super hard, maybe that will motivate them to work just as hard as well. Well, what a great way to end it. We thank you for all your hard work. We wish you the best in the 2024 season. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Brett.
So help us grow this thing. Subscribe, like, and follow us.